Okay. Christina, are we all set? I'd like to call the meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deanne, do you have someone here for the invocation?
We do. Yes, sir. Brett Westcott, he's your engineer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brett Westcott. I am the village engineer here in Homer Glen. So at my previous job, I worked as a resident engineer on construction projects, and with my long hair and beard, I was given the nickname Construction Jesus. Contractors would finish their work, I'd walk around the job site and give them my blessing. So when Carmen asked me to do one of the invocations, of course I had to agree. So now, having only been with the village for around 6 months now, I wasn't sure where to start, so I looked to the village slogan that I hear so much for inspiration: community and nature in harmony. But what does that really mean? Nature is easy. Nature is the beautiful wooded areas and the unique topography that we see throughout Homer Glen. But what about community? By definition, it's a group of people living in the same place, but that definition is a bit too simple. So I dug a little bit deeper, and I found a community is also defined as a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. Now that's a pretty good definition, but it seems that everyone doesn't always share the same attitudes, interests, and goals. Many times there are disagreements, but it's okay to disagree with each other. Disagreement does not make it any less of a community. Disagreement is natural. If everyone agreed with everyone else, the world would be a pretty boring place. We need differing visions, new takes, non-traditional thinking, thinking outside the box. That's how we progress. So not everyone needs to agree. In fact, you can agree to disagree. Some people say the glass is half empty. Some people say the glass is half full. An engineer might tell you that the glass is twice as big as it needs to be. But each perception is equally as important as the last. So no matter what your perception, no matter what your beliefs, I hope that I can invoke all of you to find kindness, patience, and understanding towards others, and be a part of the community and nature that we call Homer Glen. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Well done, Brett.
Madam Clerk, could you please call roll?
Trustee Rogers?
Present.
Trustee Reinders?
Present.
Trustee Pazmino? Present. Trustee Consolino? Trustee Fialco?
Present?
Trustee Laha?
Present.
And Mayor Yukich.
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay. Joe, is there anyone for public comment? Thanks, Joe. First would be Russ Petrizzo.
Our former and first mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm going to be over the 3 minutes because I think this is going to be one of the most important meetings.
Is your mic on? I'm sorry.
Is my mic on or off? You hear me?
That's it? Okay, now you can hear me. No, I just felt that after getting probably 100 phone calls, and you know, I try to stay out of everything here. We did our work doing the incorporation. We worked our butts off for 1 year. The volunteers know who they were. And I'm just getting a little upset of what's happening now. So I have to come out and speak because I feel my blood and the blood of the 100 volunteers is in this village right now. So when we began to incorporate, our main motto was no municipal tax. We promised the people of this village, and we worked hard to get the businesses in here to pay sales tax so we didn't have to charge the residents a municipal tax. So how do you achieve that? We have a fire department, so that was no problem. But we didn't have a police department. And these are the rumors I'm hearing about, we're gonna do something with the police department. Let me tell you the facts. Number one, to start a police department, this was in '01, we needed $1 million. You have to fund the pension, you have to build a building, you have to have a jail, you have to have squad cars. We didn't have the money. So what was the easiest and best thing to do? We negotiated leasing it with the Will County Sheriff's Department. Never been done before in the state of Illinois, never. They went training to California, because California, Los Angeles is the main hub for 400 cities and counties in Los Angeles. That's what they do. They negotiate so they don't have to start from scratch. It's the most cost-effective way. What do I mean? We pay, I don't know, right now, $3.5, $4 million, $4 million. Mokina, and then we compared them back then, is the same police force and size as we do. It's 10 million. That's what it costs to have your own police department. And now they're building a new building. What do you think that's gonna cost? You think the people of Homer are gonna go, let's do a referendum for a police department we don't need? Now let's see what we get for Will County. I don't know if people remember, but in '03, we had a murder in Marion Village. A resident there got killed. Okay, so the Will County Sheriff Department, this was 12 in the morning, 12 a.m. That was Sunday morning, or Monday morning, 12 in the morning. By Monday afternoon, the person was arrested. The Sheriff's Department found out, they went through their investigation and arrested the person that did it. This is the things we're getting: experience, we're getting SWAT teams, we're getting everything you could get that would cost us a fortune if we did our own police department. So I don't know what is going through everybody's head, if I'm understanding it wrong, why we're even thinking about it. But we didn't work our butts off to start wasting money. When we have the best, police, and if we need more, hire more if we need more people on the street. So oh, by the way, if you have your own police department, you have to negotiate with the unions. Who's gonna do that? Right now, the sheriff takes care of all that. So I know, it's just, I don't know why people are thinking this. I hope it's not on the referendum. Again, I'm hearing things, I'm getting a ton of calls, so I had to come in and just give you the history of why we did it and why we're saving the people of Homer Glen money. We could cover the 4 million. It's gonna be hard to cover 10, plus building a building. And again, I tried to go to Orland to use their police station. We couldn't because we're Will, they're Cook. I went to Lockport, they wouldn't do it. So this was the best way to save money and get the best possible police we could. So that's number one. Number two, we worked hard to save money and negotiate stuff. Why do you have 2 attorneys here? Why do we have another, was it $7,000 a month? Can somebody explain that to me? Why we have 2 sets of attorneys? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, we're wasting all this money. It's just, it's beyond my know-how. We worked hard to save money, and now, why do you need 2 sets of attorneys? I wish somebody would tell me someday. I know he can't answer me now. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Next, Dave Medina.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, Trustees. I've been hearing some things go on here for the past few meetings with regards to Trustee Ruben Pazmino. And I'm just here to set my opinion forward, like all the other uneducated people tend to do that accuse him of things that he has not done, and they don't prove it. They don't prove it because they haven't happened. If you're going to accuse somebody of something, then prove it. Don't just say it. Prove it. I'm here to say that I stand tall and proud to call Ruben Pazmino my friend. He does what's right for the community. He tries to always do what's in the best interest of the residents of this community, and he is a man of immense integrity. And I wanted to stand up and say it. And if anyone wants to disagree with me on it, I'll stay till after the meeting. Thank you.
Next would be Sharon Swees.
Thank you. I recently watched the December 14th village meeting regarding comments made by one of the trustees stating that it's normal when employees leave their good jobs when a new board takes control. Since 2008, I have been involved in one aspect or another with this village, and it has never happened that we have 21, 22 employees that have left in the first half of your term. One wonders, is this a true reflection of this board? I have never seen such outbursts from board members attacking residents during public comment as you did during the last meeting. I guess when comments may hit on some truths, your rebuttal has to be loud and demeaning. It was stated that we are spewing venom. Have you ever noticed your own comments toward the mayor and a specific trustee? Or that we are electioneering? That was just what I heard. The meaning of electioneering is the activity of trying to persuade residents to vote for a particular person or for yourself. So what do you call it when one of your board members hosts free Christmas events at their restaurant for seniors and village committee members, etc., while having their campaign signs out all over outside? Or does one use the excuse that is just simply a self-promoting act? A village code was changed by this board that originally stated public comment would follow the trustees' reports. This board has changed that order and makes the public comment first, which then allows the trustees to rebuttal what was said, thereby not allowing residents a chance to respond in return. In Sunday's Southtown Speak Out column, Tom from Homer Glen sums it all up when he states, Homer Glen residents need to watch the village meetings, which are a sad commentary on how this village is run. His comment states to watch and ask yourself if this is how a village should be run. And you can find that whole article in Sunday's Southtown. Speak Out. Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to talk on the item I'm here for, which is legislative action item number 2, if that's okay. Thank you.
Next would be Judy Van Luck. Sorry, Judy.
That's okay. Hi, good evening. So after last meeting, when Mr. Fialco brought up FOIAs, saying Sharon was doing all these FOIAs, they miraculously popped up on the website. And there were a couple that were pretty interesting. One that popped up was on May 25th of 2022, asking for all sorts of personal information about Trustee Rogers, and the person requesting it was Juby Moriarty. Well, isn't that fun? So I know Jay Rohde has a persona called Juby where he gets dressed up and makes videos. And it's all, I have it all here. I have copies of it. And then Trustee Consolino, I don't know where she's at tonight, has referred on many posts as me as Juby. So is this what we're doing now? We're making fake names to do, insinuating that I'm FOIAing things on Trustee Rogers? Is this what we're doing now? I mean, I can't even believe these are adults. You guys should all be mortified, absolutely mortified. And then, you know, again, you're going on and on about Mrs. Suisse here. And, you know, what about Trustee Consolino and all her FOIAs? She's FOIAing, where was that one at? That was a good one. Oh, why me, Ellen, and Sherry Bonicki were at the Village speaking with the mayor. So why does she care? Why is she so worried about that? If she's not harassing and bullying us and doing God knows what to us online, why does she care? She should not even remotely care. It is absolutely insane that you guys let this happen. She's never reprimanded, and it just goes on and on and on. When's it gonna stop? You guys encourage it. You laugh at Jay, it's satire. When is it gonna stop? You do know, and she's gonna come back whenever her next meeting is, where she speaks. I don't even know if she's on video. She's gonna come back, I'm being harassed, I'm being this. Her Facebook page was taken down for bullying. I reported it for bullying me so much, they literally took her Facebook page down.
You have 30 seconds.
That's all I have. And here is the copies of that her Facebook page is gone, that Norma's Ray Crusade or whatever she goes by, gone. She bullied me so much on Facebook, they took it down. You guys should all be mortified that you're associated with her, and she sits up here. Thank you.
Next, reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. My thing for tonight is, at the end of the last meeting, we did have a lot of screaming, yelling, and telling each other, or telling someone, one or the other, they're liars. And I would just say you got to be careful. When you're up here, really, this is just a forum for us to listen to and then be able to talk to the people. Instead of that, it just turns into a big circus and everyone just yelling and doing what they want, saying what they want to say, and actually a lot of things that Judy said, I agree 100%. I don't understand why there was such a divide between this board and that board. It's a board. It's people that were voted in. It doesn't make a difference who they are. Everyone should be getting together. And it just shouldn't be as crazy as it is. So I can speak from my own end for getting battered. I've told you about the one where Jennifer said that I was having a extramarital affair, and my daughter called me and said she wanted to know if I was cheating on Mom, and I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she says, well, you're in the Facebook saying that you're having an affair. Well, I didn't, I haven't, I won't, and it to me, when Jennifer had said it, you know what, I'm not even going to let it bother me. But you've got to let people know what does happen here. Unfortunately, this village is a mess right now, and we're trying to get it together. But it doesn't seem like everyone's going to work together. It looks like everyone wants to do what they want to do, and I don't think that right now we have the opportunity to really service our residents. I think we're putting out fires. We got a bunch of firemen up here that we're always putting out fires. The one question that was brought out last week, and where there was an argument between you and Barack, and you were saying he's a liar. He's not a liar, and we should never call anyone a liar. He was misinformed on what had happened. And I'm not going to bring it out in public here, except for just telling everyone, you got to be careful with what you say, because it will come back and bite you on your rear end. I think that if we're going to get together, what do we got left, Beth?
70 days.
We have 70 days left for Beth, myself, and Christine. I am thanking God every day that I'm not going to be here for the next term, because this is just taken, as for me, it took my personality away. I just can't believe the stuff that does go on, how it goes, who they hurt, and it's an absolute shame. So I think it's going to be a very interesting day, April 4th. But I just hope that things do change before we leave. And I'm sure you're going to be happy that we're going, but that's fine. So I'll leave it alone at that. But like I said before, be careful with what you say. Because with Facebook, that's one thing that's really, you can't beat it. You can find out anything you want on Facebook. Most of it's lies, but you'll see it out there, and then you can find out if it's going to be true or not. I know we spend a ton of money in FOIAs here. I have never put a FOIA through. Unfortunately, my daughter did, because she wanted to protect me. I'm a big boy, I can protect myself. But when my daughter has to do fighting for me, it bothers me more than anything. So I would hope that all that changes and you do what you're actually supposed to do. You aren't here for you. You're not here for us. We're here for the residents. That's my report, and then the next one would be the trustees, and we'll start off with Ms. Laha.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a report for the Ability Awareness Committee, but I too will be leaving in 70 days, and it is hard to sit up here and listen to allegations and doxing, personal issues being brought to a community forum. And that's not what this is here for. That's not what I show up here for. That's not what I leave my family for. Drive in from Springfield to sit up here and start pointing fingers. I see things on both sides that are upsetting. I see my friends who are very good people being accused of things on both sides. We have now been in session for about 30 minutes, and we have talked about nothing but negativity. And I have 70 days left here, and this is not how I want to be spending it. It's not how I wanted to spend my 2 years. And I'm not talking to one side or the other. I'm talking to the people that chose us to be up here. And I know we can do better. I know that we have to start supporting each other as much as we possibly can. But, you know, some of these public comments that keep coming up, it's hurtful to listen. I'm born and raised here. This is my home. And my son is here because he loves to come to these meetings. And I want to inspire him to possibly run for office one day. And it's hard to do the right thing, you know, when people are constantly accusing you of things that you know you didn't do. But at the same time, that's what we signed up for. And I hope that moving forward, we can just make the best decisions for the, you know, for the better of our community. Putting personal things aside, stopping with the terrible personal attacks. It's not worth it. It's really not. I'm proud to be from here. I'm proud when I go to Springfield that people know who Homer Glen is. I'm proud of the work we have completed here. And I love having Homer Glen after my name. but we can all do better. And I want to inspire you all to do better for the new incoming class of trustees that may be coming in, for the new slate that's coming in, for the old slate that's here. I want you to really think about the words that are coming out of your mouth. The internet is forever. And I just think we can be doing better. So for my friends that have been hurt by false allegations, for the people who have been hurt by false allegations on both sides, it's not okay. I've been subject to it as well. And it is unfortunate, but I just had to say something about it. I know I usually don't, but it's sad to watch. You are all good people. You all are deserving people. You all love what you do. And let's start reminding ourselves of why we're here. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about the Ability Awareness Committee, which is a committee that I'm extremely passionate about, that is filled with very passionate people who want to help represent the disabled community here in Homer Glen. And I'm proud of them. I haven't been here very often due to some unforeseen circumstances with a very tough schedule, but we had our roundtable discussion, and the ARC was here. Committee member Bob O'Connor did a wonderful job spearmenting that, and I'm very proud of him. It was his first big project, and I know he was very nervous. It went beautifully. Thank you to the ARC, Mary Dixon of the ARC, who came and shared so much information. I'm still receiving emails of people who were a little overwhelmed with the information we have, but are looking for more of these types of opportunities to educate, and even for community. You know, it's not easy being a special needs parent, so it's nice to have something. And I know Carmen has been so gracious to stand in with this committee and give up his time, because he's not busy enough, clearly. But this is a very special committee, and I want to thank everybody who has stepped up to allow this committee to proceed in the manner in which they are here for. So we are hosting a Valentine's Day social, and this will be for individuals that may have special needs or their family members. We're going to do a pizza party, and I am inspired by our senior committee to host more social events. So I think that's something that is going to be next on our agenda. So I invite everybody to come out and support that. That's my report.
Thank you, Trustee LaHaw. Trustee Rogers?
Well, I just wanted to speak to Russ. Russ, when we discussed the whole police department at the last meeting, I was adamant that I want to have some kind of a workshop between now and April so that people can hear from people like you, that there are studies that have been done, you know. Yes, they're for full-time police officers. I don't even know if there is such a thing as creating a part-time police office. I don't even know if that exists, but I'm hopeful that you'll come to that workshop and bring your knowledge, because I know you guys put a lot of time and money into researching all of that, and you had committees, and your insightfulness will be well worth it. So as soon as we hear from when that's going to be, I know it's supposed to be before April, I'll make sure to reach out to you so that you can attend, and maybe bring some of the people that were on that committee back then, because I know they're still around.
Sure. Be happy to be my pleasure.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Rogers. Trustee Pasmino?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I just wanted to clarify one thing. Everybody here, I've said it a million times, you know, sir, I've reached out to you quite a few times, actually to the entire board. We're all good people. We want to do the best for our constituents, the people that put us in these seats. You know, I don't want to sound cliche, but sir, you say that the village is in shambles. We're in the best shape we've ever been in. We're doing it with less staff. We kept the taxes low. We've created new committees. We've maintained and improved services with a lower amount of money. We're running with less staff. We've maintained a surplus of money. How much better do you want us to get? Yes, we have spits, bats, and we argue, just like the gentleman over here stated. There are disagreements. And I believe that everybody here is passionate about the village. They're passionate about their stance. Do we express ourselves the best? Probably not. Yes, I understand that, okay, maybe the rules say that we shouldn't respond to a resident, but, you know, I grew up in restaurants. Are we better than the server that serves us? Should we yell and scream at him, and should that server take it just because we're providing money to that person? No. We are on the same level as everybody else in that room. We're no better, we're no worse. So if you make an accusation, you put something out there, especially to a board that works their heart out, making probably less than minimum wage to sit in these seats, and then being accused for something that you didn't do, yes, it is a lie. And I will say it's a lie, and I don't care how illegal it is. It's a lie, and that person's a liar, and I will prove it. But here nor there, we hit the reset button, which I've hit 1,000 times. Sir, the first one to cross that line after we hit it is you. So, and I've said it, let's start over. Let's work together for the residents. Let's do what's right for the people, because that's why we're here. Otherwise, we'd be somewhere else a lot less stressed. And you get to walk away into the sunset, congratulations. I've always said I've respected you. Do we see on the same level? Probably not sometimes. But you said one thing that kind of struck me. And you said we have, 70 days left? It would be very interesting to see where we go from here. What is funny about that comment is you said the same thing 2 years ago when the brand new board sat at your desk with you. You said, instead of saying, hey guys, let's put the past together, let's work together, let's work for the people, your comment was, well, it's going to be an interesting 2 years. And sir, 70 days away, this is where we're at. But you know what? For the third time, let's hit that reset button. Let's make your last 70 days here the best that we can make it. I take that pledge. I'm sure the rest of these trustees take the same pledge. Let's do it. Don't just say it. Let's do it. I agree with you 100%. Let's make it positive. Let's not start our meetings negative. And let's work productively. I'm for it. So that's what I have to say as far as that, sir. Whew. Going back to my committee meeting, the productive part of the conversation I just had, reporting for the Behavioral Health and Addiction Recovery Committee. Monday, we had our first meeting and it was fantastic. We covered the finalization of our committee branding. We solidified our goals for the next meetings, which include reaching out to the Will County Sheriff's Department, the Will County Board of Health, so that we could strengthen our ideas with their existing programs and perhaps even get them to come out to present at some of our future meetings. Just to give an idea to everybody about what our committee is, we explore partnerships with nonprofit organizations, businesses, municipalities, and school districts to increase educational and assistance offerings for the residents. This committee will plan and execute addiction awareness campaigns, including but not limited to village proclamations, fundraising drives, and digital content. So not only Facebook, but the social media networks that expand to the younger kids. Most importantly, this committee will be a hub for family, friends, and loved ones to seek help and give help and be even more aware of the horrible epidemic addiction has become and what we can do to prevent, detect, and react. I wish to thank our current committee members and village staff, Mark Raber, Village Manager Carmen Morella, Chief Inspector Joe Baber, and Assistant Village Manager Gia Casson for your hard work and dedication to get this very much needed program started. Thank you very much. If anybody would like to be a member of this committee or volunteer, please reach out to myself and Carmen Morella. You could send us an email at rpasmino@homerglenil.org or cmorella@homerglenil.org. We're also working on a Facebook site, a page where you can access it easily, get all the information you want. Keep in mind, any information that you send will, of course, be held very private. And our next meeting is on February 27th. I look forward to seeing anybody that could come out, be present, give us your ideas, give us your programs, whatever you need. Just let us know, because I think this is a very, very important program. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Pasmino. Trustee Reinders.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everybody. I'm going to be reporting for the CED committee, and would just like to inform everybody that last week we concluded our interviews for the land planner for the proposed town center. There were actually 7 proposals that we got, and we actually narrowed it down to 3 good candidates, and we interviewed them last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Out of the 3, we chose the Lakota group, which we felt that they understood our vision moving forward with the community. They were they had the finger on their pulse of everything that we had talked about, where a community in nature and harmony, keeping the character of the village. So they were right on the money, and without even any delay, we walked out of the meeting and we said, that's the group we want, they get us. So we actually placed a call to them on Friday and offered them the position. So once a contract is formulated, we will be bringing that to the board for their approval. And one of the things that really impressed me about them was their community engagement. They were very adamant about getting the community involved in this process, in the process of site planning, in the process of choosing a location, and the concept design. So look forward to hearing from this group. They're going to be popping up all over town at different events, so you'll get to meet them and you'll get to see what they're doing moving forward. As far as the Parks and Recs Committee, we did discuss the additional parking at Heritage Park and decided to move forward with 3 areas of importance. We talked about the inner circle that we were going to be doing on the cul-de-sac before. We've actually brought that down so it's not as large, but it still serves the same purpose, so we're not taking up so much land. And the 3 areas that we thought were the most important would be the inner circle parking in the park, the area of where the cul-de-sac parking would go, and the parking that would be adjacent directly to the Village Hall. Because we know widening 151st Street, we might be losing some of our parking in the front, so we decided that that would probably be a good area to start with. And then lastly, Brett Westcott and I had the opportunity to meet with A Touch of Green. They were the only landscaper in the town that actually put a proposal in for the Veterans Memorial. So we sat with them, we actually hashed out some different ideas, and we plan on moving forward with them. We are going to be bringing that to A&F for their approval. One of the things we did find was that with the current inflation and the price of materials going up, it is going to cost us a little bit more money than we anticipated. Last year, when we put the budget in, we allocated $250,000 for the Veterans Memorial. And it's actually going to be coming in $100,000 over that. And that is because of the materials and the labor costs. So we did apply for a grant. We're waiting to hear back from that. We applied for a $50,000 grant, and we should be knowing something on that pretty soon, Gia? Yeah. Okay. And then if we moving forward, what we'll do is we'll just probably allocate another $50,000 from our next year budget. So we talked about the Memorial Brick Program. We will be handling that here at the village. Anybody that would like that, Brett and I are actually going to be putting that program together moving forward. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Reinders. Trustee Fialko?
Yes, thank you, sir. Brett Westcott, I'd like to say thank you very much tonight for the invocation that you put forward to everybody. It was well thought out and well said. Thank you for doing that. I just hope that it resonates well, not just through this board, but through the people that sit in the audience that sometimes are sent by other people on this board to do the dirty work of others. So next time you're asked to do the dirty work of others, if you could take that into consideration, the words that were said today, and I think that'll help all of us work better in harmony, residents and board. I do want to say, everything we vote on with the village is public record. If anybody can find anything that this board, this new board, has done that would have been in opposition of either a business, our resident, or our community, come and talk to us. And if there is something that you're concerned about, we can sit down either after the meeting, before the meeting, and talk to you about it and why the decision was made. Because just as the mayor said, somebody rushed to judgment, came up to the podium and said something. I'm hoping they were speaking for themselves and not somebody else, although it did sound the other way. It sounded like it was maybe the work of somebody else, because we keep getting this barrage of people coming up, and it's election time. So the thing is, keep that in mind. We do want to work with the community, and if you look at our community right now, since this board has been on, the strip malls don't have vacant buildings in it. They don't have vacant stores in them. They're filling up. businesses are looking to come here. We dropped the annexation fee. We've done all kind of things to help. There is nothing that I can remember that we haven't done to help. We've kept taxes low. When $3.7 million was put before us, we dropped that. We took it off the agenda. And then we took and we made it, we talked about the gambling last time, but that gambling, what that gambling did over at Lenny's Gas and Wash, that helped it. So we didn't have to raise taxes because that supplements what we would have to raise to take in the road district that came to us when we first got on this board. So it all works hand in hand, and wherever we can not tax the public and we can help out in another way, we want to do that. And the gas station across from Lenny's Gas and Wash at 159th and Gauger, across the street is a little patch of land that was still owned by Lockport. In that patch of land, a gas station is being built right now. And that gas station, as far as I've been told, they will have the option for the customers to do the gaming there also. So why wouldn't this board give the option to a business in Homer Glen when something like that is going to happen? That would be working against what we want to accomplish. We want to make things work here smoothly, and we don't want to raise taxes. So that's what it comes down to. But I am not going to go on any further. Everybody knows what I've been accused of before and where things have gone. I don't want to go any further with it. But what I'd like to say is I want to move on to the fest. Everybody's excited about Homer Fest. I've got a lot of questions that have come my way in the past week. We have 14 performances. We have 12 bands, but 14 performances. All the contracts have come back. I'm waiting to turn those over now to staff to get those signed. As soon as those are signed, it looks like we should be able to release that information on January 30th, which should be Monday. So the first place we'll put it is out on the village Facebook page, the village website, and also we probably will be putting out a brochure shortly with that list too. So by Monday, everybody should know what's going on as far as Homerfest and the bands and everybody performing that for those 4 days, which is June 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. We are still waiting on a grant that we applied for the fest. Nothing's guaranteed from the state when it comes to grants. We prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and that application was put in, I think, about 3 months ago, so it wasn't like we delayed that process. And the idea is to get that money and help out and to bring bigger and better things for the fest and for the things that we do for our community. We want you to have the best. We're a great community, and we want to bring good things to our community, but we don't want you to also have to. We don't want to raise taxes to make those things happen. So in that fashion, everybody should know by Monday, I'm hoping, what the band schedule is. So thank you, everybody, and I appreciate you putting up with everything that's going on. I don't want to say it's one person's fault, but once the ball starts rolling, usually this board is only responding to things that have happened, and I think we almost try too hard to defend ourselves when we really don't have to. But a lot of times we're put in that position, and therefore, you know, to put yourself in the same situation, I don't know how much or how long you would wait if the same things were happening to you. It's not something that anybody looks forward to, I don't believe, but it is something that takes place, and then sometimes it needs to be addressed. Trustee Pazmino, I support 100% what you just said a couple minutes ago, and hitting the restart button once again is fine with me. I just wish that some things had been different from the beginning, and that would have been 660 days ago, George. I'd have liked you to have shake my hand and said, I want to work with you guys. But instead you said, you're going to have a hard 2 years of it. Just wait. And you never shook my hand. So I wish you would have started on that note and we could have moved forward. But that is something, that is kind of the tone that was set early on, and I wish it would have been a little bit different. I apologize to the residents and the public and our constituents for that. But anyway, we hit the reset button, so there we go.
Okay, thank you. Village clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I really have to report is that the executive session was supposed to be put on the agenda today to discuss executive session minutes, but it was decided to wait until the special meeting on the 30th to do it all at once. So we'll have a special meeting on the minutes, and then immediately following is the executive session discussion on that. So if you guys need copies of all that prior to or any additional copies, please let me know. And then I also would like to agree with the sentiments of Trustee Pazmino, and pretty much everyone up here on the board had agreed in your own way of saying that we should all put things to the side and work together for the betterment of the community. And I hope for the next board meeting, regular scheduled board meeting, that we can do that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Eric?
No report, Your Honor.
Kerry?
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report.
Public safety officials? No report. Village manager?
I do have a report, Mayor. I just want to remind everybody, we got the Valentines for the veterans and seniors. We're collecting Valentines that we're going to be handing out to the veterans and seniors. It started January 10th, and then we'll be collecting them through February 10th, so we can get them out to our seniors and veterans. I think it's a heartfelt, warm thing we can do for our veterans and our seniors, so if anybody can drop off just kind of a blanket Valentine's Day and, you know, wish a veteran or a senior happy Valentine's Day, that would be a great thing. The other thing I'd like to speak about is, I had the opportunity to hang out with the Ability Awareness. And in a lot of talk with the Ability Awareness, they come up with some good ideas. LWSRA in February 28th is going to have a fundraiser at Oak Prairie. This is a great opportunity for Ability Awareness to get involved, to show some support, I think, because what they're going to do there is they bring wheelchairs in the morning, they teach the kids how to play basketball in the wheelchairs, and then the kids go against the kids that are in SWSRA to compete and a big fundraiser. And Ability Awareness actually wants to do that as one of our fundraisers, so I think it'd be a great opportunity to get involved. So I think it's very exciting. I have a daughter that plays wheelchair basketball. She actually plays rec, and she also plays on a women's league. And it's really interesting to watch because they are very aggressive on the court. So in a lighter note, that's pretty much all I have to report, and that's it. Thanks, Mayor.
There's one other thing. We went and sat down for the Northern Illinois American Water yesterday. It is in court. It started Monday. It's been in court yesterday, and it's been in court today. Bert Olson is going to be the one that's laying all this out. It's come before a judge that the judge says they want it set and pay up, or it's not a pretty picture. So we're waiting for a response back from them, but we'll keep you up to date once we hear anything else, and it is in process. So hopefully we can give you the answer that we're looking for, but we won't know until that time comes around. So we'll get into the consent agenda now. Number one, consider for approval the accounts payable for the period of January 13th, 2023 through January 26th, 2023, the amount of $449,119.89.
I'll make that motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we do it right afterwards.
You're right.
All right. Number two, consider for approval the treasurer's report of cash and investment for the period ending October 31st, 2022. Number three, consider for approval the treasurer's report of cash and investments for the period of November 30th, 2022. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I need a second.
So, it's Rosie.
Trustee Reinders?
Yeah, she got it.
Please call the roll.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, legislation and action items. First one, consider for approval ordinance number 23-004, an ordinance approving an extension of the various granted via ordinance 2022 or 22-009 for certain real property located at 13740 West Chicago Bloomington Trail, Homer Glen, Illinois.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Melissa? Yes.
Melissa, as far as I can tell, nothing's changed on this at all, except that we're extending the time period, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
That was my question.
Okay.
Okay, any other thing? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pezmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 2, consider for approval ordinance number 23-005, a request for 1, a special use permit for a major amendment to the McDonald's Planned Unit Development, PUD, with certain exceptions, and 2, a site plan for certain real property commonly known as 14298 Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, McDonald's Corporation and Franchise Realty Investment Trust, Illinois, a Maryland corporation.
So moved.
I'll second that.
No, you have, all right, so move who?
I second it.
Okay. Discussion.
I'm a little confused on the two options that you put out here.
Can I take a second? I'll just explain.
Yeah.
So there are two options. It's the same ordinance number, but when this item went in front of the Plan Commission made two motions. One was to deny the request to relocate the pylon sign, and the other was to approve the special use permit amendment with the site plan, for the site plan changes. Just so that I could present to the board both options, there were two ordinances prepared, one that basically allows the plan development to be approved with the site plan, and the conditions that were placed on the PUD from the Plan Commission, and then allows for the pylon sign to be relocated. And then there are variances that go with, exceptions or variances that go with that sign. So if it gets relocated, a number of things don't meet code. So that would make that sign legal, if you will. The other option
That's option 1?
That's option one, yes.
Option 1 includes the sign
Correct.
and moving it.
Correct. Option 2 is exactly the same motion, except does not include any of the items related to the sign, and also includes a condition specifically that calls out the denial of the relocation of the existing legal non-conforming pylon sign. So I think that a decision of this, I think it's just complicated. There's a lot of variables involved, and we have some history of the village that's been highlighted in the staff report during the IDOT widening of 159th Street that allowed for some relocation of some prohibited signage. And so I think that it's just really a policy direction decision by the board. If you have technical questions for me, I can answer anything that you need. Trustee Fialko had asked me today to look into just clarifying what the setbacks were originally on the property, and then also now for that sign. They do currently, where they're asking to relocate it, does meet the ordinance, so you're not going to see that in the motion anywhere. The original layout was that from the east side, which would be Bell Road, it's a little over 20 feet from the right-of-way, and then 16 from the south property line. And where it's being relocated is 15 and a half, and then from the east, from to the south, and then from the east, it's going to be just over 7.5 from what the engineering plan shows. So, currently the business districts are allowed to have signage within 5 feet of the property line. So this actually meets, for the setback purposes, meets code.
So option 1, to clarify, is the one where basically they're going to be allowed to keep the sign, and they're just going to do similar to what we required Aquapool to do, kind of spruce it up, put some landscaping around it, that type of thing.
Correct.
And then if the county was never going to do anything over there, this sign would never have to, we wouldn't ever even be here, right? The sign would be here for another 20 years.
Could be. So there is this kind of dovetails with something on the agenda under the village code amendments that we had talked about back in February of 2022, which is taking that amortization. There is an amortization program in our code currently, and it is being proposed to be removed from the village code. And it went through many layers of review before it got here tonight. This is not something that was just placed on here. The timing of it is odd, but that wasn't on purpose, right? This has been in play for over a year now, under discussion. And in fact, staff had concerns about the amortization program when it was going through the sign code update in 2018, 2019. So, and that would not just apply to this sign, it's any business's signage that doesn't meet code in the village would have to be brought up to code in 2026, which is a significantly short time frame, and it would put a lot of due pressure on our businesses. But if that is not there, that amortization program, Trustee Rogers, then the sign could stay into perpetuity.
Yeah, I struggle with this because this is of no fault of the business owner. And, you know, I supported what we did with aqua pools, where we just said, fix it up, make it look nice, but to say, give us a new sign because we don't like that sign, first of all, it's a matter of opinion, because I like that sign, I like the history behind the sign, the nostalgia of it. McDonald's was here before we were here. McDonald's brings a lot of money. They work with the community. I personally called them when the Stallions won and asked them if they would, you know, light up their little thing, and they did that. And I rarely go against the Plan Commission, but I don't support their decision on this one to say that, you know, because the county decided to do something that we're going to make him redo what he has. I don't have a problem with the sign. I think it's, like I said, I like the history of it. Sometimes it's nice to have some old school stuff, not everything coming forth. There's a lot of the new McDonald's signs that I don't like at all. The box signs that are on the ground, and I just don't like them. So that being said, I want to make sure I'm clear, because when I made the motion is going to be for option 1. So do I now have to amend that motion to say it's option 1, or how does that work?
I have talked with legal counsel. I mean, Kerry can speak to this if he wants to, but he said that the way it's been on the agenda, and it was presented with 2 options in the staff item, and then option 1 is very clearly that it allows for the sign to be relocated. I think you would just need to make a recommendation of option 1 if that's how you were going to go.
I would like to...
You wouldn't have to read the entire thing, is that correct? Kerry?
If you want to make the motion to approve option 1 so that we have a clear record, you should do that. That way there's no confusion.
Okay.
So you would, technically you would withdraw your original motion, the second would withdraw their second, and then you would remake the motion.
Okay, so.
Should we do that, though? Should we have further, if there's further discussion?
No, I'm just saying at the right...
In the long run, that's what you're saying to do, but can we still have discussion about the item before we make that motion? Because I seconded it, we would have to work together anyway. And that sounds like that's going to be the plan, but I didn't, were you finished?
I'm done.
Okay, just to roll back so the public understands, Bell Road is a Will County road, correct? Okay, so because it's a county road, they're going to be widening that. They've worked with us, we've given them, we've worked with them as far as the permits and everything, not the permits, but the cost that it is going to take to widen over there and across the street. Now we get to a point where McDonald's has to make an adjustment over there, right? And it's government that stepped in to do something, to change something that wouldn't have had to be changed otherwise. So I agree with Trustee Rogers. Whenever government steps in and you have to make a change because somebody else is telling you you have to, I don't think that burden should fall on the business themselves. But at the same time, what I did find out in the past day or so is when that happens, like on 159th Street, I understand the state of Illinois paid some businesses for the inconvenience in having to move signs. Now, Will County, I understand they did the same thing with McDonald's, but it went to the franchise corporation, not to the franchisee. George, can you explain that, please?
Sure, yes, and that's an excellent point. So when there is a taking or a condemnation by the government to widen a road or whatever, they are obligated to pay the fair market value of the property taken. But they pay it to the landowner. And in this case, the landowner is McDonald's Corporation, and the franchisee, the operator of the McDonald's, is just a tenant. So the tenant, who is also a, longtime resident of Will County and been here for a long time, he's in the unfortunate position of, having his business disrupted and having to come and redo it and spend money to move things, but did not get any compensation. And in addition, his franchise agreement with McDonald's requires him to bear the burden of, if he were to have to get a new sign or make these other improvements, that burden's on him. So he's in a bad position, based on that.
Okay, so the franchisee cannot put the request into the corporation for the money received from Will County. Now, are you telling me that the corporation did receive money from Will County, or are you telling me they did not receive money from Will County?
The corporation, meaning McDonald's, the big corporation? Yes. I mean, I was not part of that, but they absolutely would have. You can't have a condemnation without the landowner receiving some money. So I'm confident they did.
Do we know how much that was?
I don't.
Okay, does the franchisee have the ability to request the money for the hardship from that corporation?
Not by contract. I mean, they could request it just because they could, but as you can imagine, McDonald's is a big corporation, has their own policies.
Has this franchisee done that?
Yeah, my understanding is from their agreement, it falls on them, and it's just part of the...
What I'm asking, though, because you're here for them,
yes,
is did the franchisee put the request in to corporate for the money that they received to compensate him back?
So to clarify, I am representing McDonald's, the corporation. I am not representing the franchisee.
Okay.
So McDonald's, the corporation, has told me they are not giving him the money for that. They are, they have to be the one petitioning here because they own the land and they're the ones asking for the relief. And they would like their franchisee to get the relief that he wants, which is to just be able to move the sign, but they're not paying for it.
Okay. Is the owner of that McDonald's here? The franchisee? No? Okay. All right. So there is money that goes back and forth, and at this point, we don't know that they have received anything. At the same time, just like Trustee Rogers said, I don't believe that they should bear the burden of the cost of doing this. And we did have a situation similar on 159th Street with the state of Illinois. And the denial of it, maybe that was because the Planning Commission didn't have the whole story possibly. I'm not sure. But I disagree with denying. But at the same time, because they denied it, and they they're saying basically they'd like it to go to the current code, right? Would you, and Trustee Rogers, I'd like to know if everybody, while we have this opportunity, back when this was a rural area, that sign is really, really, really tall. It's like they're almost 40 feet tall, right? I would like to know if we can amend it under number 1 to maybe lower that sign by the 8 feet and just make it 30 feet tall instead of almost 40 feet tall. And where you still get the advertising, it's not in a rural place where, there were dirt roads and you couldn't see the restaurant before, and that was the reason it was so tall. I'm just wondering if the franchisee would be receptive to just shortening the sign just a little bit by that 8.5 feet, I think it is.
So I think in concept, yes, but the reality is when they talk to the sign company, the contractor, and asked what's the possibility or the viability of doing that, they were told that it is an engineering issue, may or may not be able to be done, but even if it can be done, it's going to be pretty expensive because you can't just lop it off. So they did investigate that, to your point, and not opposed to it, but it would appear from their discussion, it would put them kind of in the same position of having to spend a bunch of money. And, over 10,000 was the quote they got from the sign person saying, no, there's more to it than just cutting it. Or just,
they would have to put a flange on the top of it that would take the same bolts. It's a cut and a weld, and I get there would be a little bit of work, but it's not probably $10,000 worth of work. So I was just wondering if, I don't know how the rest of the board feels on that, but I think that would kind of help out the Planning Commission a little bit in getting closer to what they were looking for and yet we would still be working with the business to give them also what they want. So I'd be curious what the rest of the board would have.
Well, I think that I actually think that the Plan Commission was actually wanted to make sure that they were going to adhere to the ordinance, because if the ordinance said that once you make a change, and then you had to go to the monument sign, and that by 2026, that every sign in the village is not going to be allowed to be on a pole, it's going to have to be a shorter monument sign. So I myself, I don't want to change it. I think it's a great sign. I mean, it reminds me so much of the McDonald's when we were kids and we were growing up, and this was what we looked for. And like Beth said, this is nostalgia. So to change it to something that's not, I wouldn't agree with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you saying but to a monument, or by changing, taking 8 feet off of it?
No, I don't think we should make them incur any costs. I mean, it wasn't their cost to begin with in the beginning. I mean, they're forced to do this because of the widening of the road. So why should they incur any other costs other than to move it?
That's where I'm at with this right now. I think I understand what the Planning Commission was doing completely. You know, if this wasn't something that they are required to do, you know, out of their control, I think I may have different thoughts. But I think since it's out of their control, I have to agree with Trustee Fialco, Reinders, and Rogers on this.
And I agree with everybody I just spoke before me. The exact same thing happened to me at my restaurant when they were widening 159th Street. They had to literally move my sign, which was also a high marquee sign. They had to move it over probably like 2 feet. And because of that, I couldn't grandfather in, and we had to tear the sign down. Well, guess what? My landlord got the big fat check, and guess who had to pay for a new sign? Who just opened the restaurant on a street that's under construction for 5 years. So I don't want to put that restaurant owner through that. So, you know, I wish I knew I could have come to the board and had that changed, but that.
So Carrie, should I now make that motion to, can you help me with the verbiage relative to this motion? Because it seems like we're ready to vote.
Withdraw your original motion.
Okay, withdraw my original motion.
I withdraw the second.
Now you make the motion to adopt.
Option 1.
I make the motion to adopt option number 1.
I will second that.
Roll call.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations to McDonald's for that. And I'm sure it's going to look great when it's all straightened out over there.
Okay, number 3. Consider for approval ordinance number 23-006, a request for 1, an amendment to a special use permit for outdoor sales, 2, a special use permit for outdoor storage, and 3, a variance to reduce the required off-street parking space from 368 to 295 spaces for certain real property located in the C3 General Business District, 15830 South Bell Road, Homer, Glen.
So move.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
So as far as, this is where they're selling those sheds on the corner, right?
Yes.
Beautiful, awesome looking sheds, gorgeous. My biggest concern would have been safety, right? As you turn the corner, it's not blocking anything. I don't see any type of violation there or any,
No.
you know.
The only thing that occurred was when the operator first opened, they had a few sheds that they had located on the property that were blocking a fire hydrant, and the fire chief had to ask them to move them, and they just moved them. It was not a huge issue, and they haven't been there since. And I've spoken with a fire district, so.
I think this is a small thing to do for a huge business in Homer Glen. We know that a few different stores have gone in and out of there. And anytime this board, as far as I can see, can help a business and make it so they can productively make their income go up and attract new customers or have repeat customers, I am 100% for helping businesses any way we can, and this is just one small way that we can do that. And at 159th Street in Bell, that's like our business corridor over there, so I don't have any problem with this at all.
Okay, any other discussion?
No.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
And Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Motion carries.
If anybody's counting, that's 2 for businesses tonight.
Yeah.
Number 4, consider for approval of reimbursement grant award for the commercial building improvement grant program to Founders Homer Glen LLC and the eligible improvements at 14845 South Founders, crossing an amount of $10,000.
So move.
Second.
Ruben, you got it. Pazmino's got it.
Mayor, I actually talked to Janie Patch about this today, and basically what this is they're actually going to be expanding their space. That's it, the healing, what is it called?
Beyond Healing.
Beyond Healing. They're going to be expanding their space, so they're looking for some help with the build-out. So they definitely fit into our program, so I would definitely approve this.
This is also a Homer Glen resident who has had that business and moved into one unit that's bigger than the other and has progressively got to be a bigger business. Again, I am very happy that we were able to share this with a business in Homer Glen who also lives in Homer Glen. And to do that and is just right on path with what we want to see with businesses in Homer Glen. We want to see them to be successful and to strive.
And after this, I think we have about, Janie, what do we have, about $14,000 left for the program? Correct. Yeah. So if anybody knows of any of the businesses that need any additional work done or anything that they need that would apply to the program, I think we should let them come forward or just suggest that they talk to the village. You never know.
And the balance for that $14,000, Janie, they have up till when to apply for it?
It's until the funds are completed in its current fiscal year.
Like May
Right,
1.
that's what I'm asking.
May 1?
Fiscal year begins May 1st.
All right, so
The new budget.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Fielko?
aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries.
3 for businesses.
Number 5, consider for approval a contract with HR Green for engineering services to provide stormwater study for Spaniel Lake in the amount of $13,778.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Brett, maybe you could help us out with this one just a little bit to explain so the public knows why we have to do this?
Absolutely. So essentially, the Hidden Coast subdivision in Spaniel Lake specifically, what we've come to discover is that during the initial calculations for impervious area in that subdivision, they did not factor in the full impervious cover when they were doing their calculations. And based on the current covenants in the subdivision that require a certain square footage for the home sizes, and some of these lots, the houses are, 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. So they're considerable size for the lots. And essentially, by not taking into the full calculation of the impervious area, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. So with the discrepancies between the original impervious calculations and the field conditions, they didn't take into the existing roadway, which needs to be factored into account. So what this stormwater study does is it does an analysis on the existing condition of the Spaniel Lake. It determines the amount of storage capacity that the lake has, and then it allows us to look into some options to kind of offset that, the mishap with the impervious percentage there. If that explains it, sorry.
Thank you.
Did everyone get their questions answered on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
And Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next would be consider for approval ordinance number 23-007, the amending the penalty for violation of regulations for parking during snow emergencies. Do I have a motion? Street departments need it.
So move.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
You know,
Why was this one so rough?
I know, I was like,
yeah, you know what?
Because it's fun, you know,
Let me see.
Let's let staff talk about this.
Yes, Joe, maybe you can explain how we got here. I know we're reducing
everyone was.
the amounts of money on both sides. Brett is not here tonight, so, or Brent, I mean.
Carmen, can you speak to this?
So would you be able to explain how we got here and why this was brought to the board?
So doing the snow plowing, we factor in, you know, there's a lot of cars getting on the streets, but, you know, looking at the exorbitant amount of what the fines were, you know, we felt that it would be easier to reduce it. So Brett Woods, I know he's not here today, he's actually sick, he's, you know, dealing with a cold right now to cover this, but in doing this ordinance, what we wanted to do is we wanted to reduce the fines. We thought they were excessive. We wanted and just bring it into more of a line what we see in the areas around us.
do we really have that many violators of this?
We don't. And that's the other concern that we had too. We didn't see it. And a lot of times when people call and say, hey, you know, you guys didn't plow our street, we usually advocate to say, well, maybe that's because your car was in the street. We couldn't get the plow down the street. And a lot of times the residents will call back and say, yeah, that's the reason, you know. So we felt that it would more in line of what was in the other communities, not be so aggressive with it. We don't find that the residents, and I struggle with, I parked my car last night on the street because all the other kids in my house are full of the driveway. I wake up the next morning, it's a pile of snow, and I got to go to work, and then I'm moving my car. I don't feel that, you know, that would be an issue of, you know, overnight parking would be an issue when I'm moving in the morning anyways, but that's how we look at it, so.
Anytime we can reduce costs that affect our residents is a good thing. But we have a lot of other things, though, too, that maybe we could start moving in that direction, because I know that there's other things out there that were formally put together with these exorbitant, you know, fines that really doesn't, I don't want to say the crime doesn't, or the cost doesn't fit whatever the infraction was. But that is the truth of the matter. And being that this one got pulled out and you're reducing that amount of money, it makes sense to do that.
This also came through public safety too, so.
Public safety, and what it's doing too is our main objective is to educate the public on these instances and not hit them with $250 fine. By lowering a little bit, usually there are circumstances that we hear when they come to adjudication that, you know, are unfortunate, but they are cited, and it does lower that minimum fine amount, which I think is beneficial to the resident. When you get a fine of $100, you're going to remember, and that's part of the education process.
Just out of curiosity, did something trigger this? Because this kind of came out of, or is it just something that public safety put forward? Or usually when something like this comes up, it's because something happened.
We've had discussions recently because of the first snow this year. There was a number of streets that weren't able to be plowed because of cars parked, and we received complaints that the streets weren't being plowed. Well, the reason was because residents were parking on the street. So that kind of stimulated discussion to public safety, and the fine amount was part of that too.
Yeah, that's when we saw the fine amount was $250 and $1,000. I mean, I understand we want our streets plowed and want to keep them clear and stuff like that, but like I said, if I came home late at night and the driveway's full of kids and there's no snow on the ground yet, and then I wake up in the morning and there's snow, I mean, that's the kind of complaints we're seeing when we get to adjudication. You know, they're saying, well, you know, I went to bed and then in the morning it snowed. Well, who knows it snows that night, you know? I mean, not everybody checks the weather like
Do we ever put out any warnings to inform the residents that we will be fining them if they do park on the street when they...
Yeah, we do it on Facebook, we do it on our Simplicity app, so we do inform it, and we've been pushing it out a lot more over this winter break, so they understand.
They're cited at every entrance of every subdivision. Yes.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Okay, so people should, they should...
Another problem that they have with it is the mailboxes. If they're too close, and then it gets expensive. I think a couple of them got the one down this way and some normal mailboxes, but when they start putting equipment, so it stands to the trucks and chips off the people who just got their thing knocked down. You gotta do something, otherwise you're never gonna stop. The city of Chicago, after, I don't know what date it is, but.
April 1st, or, no, it goes until April 1st. Yeah, they've got those heavy ordinances.
But it doesn't stop. I don't know what the fee is, but as soon as that day hits, whether there's snow there or not, they get towed. You're not supposed to park in the street. I think the fines that they have here is ridiculous. $1,000, $200, even $250. But you also got to remember, if they don't get the cars off the streets, the plows can't do it. When the plows have to go back out, then the guys get overtime for it. So, I mean, you guys can figure out what you want to say the penalty is going to be. I agree with Carmen. It's definitely.
Can we do like a tier? You know, like lower it, right? Lower the initial one, the first maybe 2, but then if you get somebody who's just, you know, they'd rather pay the fine than.
So it's a $50 initial, would then additional would be $100.
$100, but then then the third one would be $100, never go back to 50. So if you did it the first time, you're a $50 fine.
Okay.
And then your second time would be 100, your third would be another 100. So it's a, well, you know, it goes sequentially all the way up to however many.
But it looks like it resets itself after the winter season's over and you go back to next, then you get the one opportunity for $50.
Yeah, but
The original ordinance, what was the date on the original ordinance? I don't see that in the packet at all. I see that we've got this one, but I'm just curious when that verbiage was put in there for that amount of money, how long ago that actually took place?
I think those pretty far back, I think 03 maybe, something like that. It was one of the first ordinances
Back-
that were instituted.
Back to Russ Patrizio days?
Yeah, we
Okay.
had
All right.
a lot of problems back then, so.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe, and thank you, Carmen.
We had no money.
Is there any more discussion? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Piazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Fielko?
Aye?
Motion carries. Number 7, consider for approval the amended mayor and village board standard operating procedure number 001 to reflect the removal of the emergency management agency from committee status and creating an emergency management department.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion?
So basically, this is kind of taking it from committee status and making it a department. So Carmen, if you could just give us.
Yeah, so the reason we want to develop it this way is, you know, EMA is looking to get some grants, and it's hard as a committee, so they're looking to actually do it as a village department. We also find that with intergovernment agreements and Illinois' IPASS, we can most likely probably grant them no fees going through the tolls and stuff like that. Because not only does our EMA facilitate Homer Glen, we also pair up with other communities, Plainfield, Romeoville, and we help them if they ever have an emergency also. So it's kind of one of those things where we felt that it would be better if we can grab some more of that grant funding so we can boost the EMA to have a bigger outreach is what our goal is.
And with that said, the way I understand it, just because it becomes a department doesn't mean we're going to staff it with a superintendent or a director.
Correct.
So we're going to, everything will stay the same.
Yes.
And I believe the lead for EMA is $15,000, isn't it?
Correct.
I literally
And that'll
just
remain the
asked that, yeah.
same, correct? So there's no extra cost on the village at all?
Nope.
All right.
Any other questions?
In fact, we might get some money so it'll help offset some of those
Right.
costs.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye?
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
And Trustee Piazmino?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 8, consider for approval the amended mayor and village board standard operating procedure number 003 to reflect the changes to the village staff traffic and parking restriction review.
So moved.
Discussion?
Second.
No, second. You get second. Discussion?
Joe, why are we changing this?
Because of the reclassification of village employees, with the addition of Brett as the village engineer, also also the highway, taking out the highway township, highway commissioner, and now adding Woods as public works director. So it's more of a housekeeping.
More of a cleanup for us is what we're trying to do.
Wasn't it said that we also want to include the village engineer in this, right?
Yeah, so,
Okay, so we're including the village engineer and the public works director.
correct.
Right.
It's on the second page. The red is your changes, and then the second page is in blue is what we're adding. If anybody got, so that's just some clarification.
All right, are there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
And Trustee Fielko?
Aye?
Motion carries. Next one, consider for approval ability awareness committee chair and committee members. Recommendations of Beth Rogers to be appointed as a committee co-chair for the remainder of this term through May of 2023.
So move.
Second that.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to take the lead on this really quick. So obviously, I have been extremely busy with some unforeseen schedule changes, and this is a very, very active committee holding activities monthly. And in order for me to allow this committee to proceed with all of the amazing plans that they have, there have been times where I haven't been able to hold the meetings for me not being present because of work. And sometimes it's the job of a leader to see when it's time to delegate, and I think that time is now. So I had talked to a couple of the trustees, Trustee Reinders and Trustee Rogers were two of the names that were brought up at the committee. Trustee Reinders is very busy, she is very active. Trustee Rogers has agreed to help the committee, and so that is my recommendation in order for the committee to be moving at the pace that it has been moving at.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye?
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
And Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 10, consider for approval ordinance number 23-003, an ordinance amending.
Oh, the mic is on. There.
Consider for approval ordinance number 23-003, an ordinance amending the code of the Village of Homer Glen, Chapter 138, Land Use and Site Development, amending Article 138-1 and 138-5, and Chapter 220, Zoning, amending Articles 15, 9, 8?
10.
Okay. Amendment Table 1A and Attachment 2, Table 2A, case number HG 2214.
So move.
I'll second.
I have one thing to say right before there's any discussion on this. I'd like to make a recommendation on how we do parking calculation. Over the last week or so, I've been working on a master spreadsheet with regard to all of our commercial parking in the village, and it has come to my attention that using a small example of 10 of our businesses doesn't really reflect very well what would have occurred with this change. And then there's an additional change that the Plan Commission had added, and what I'd like to do is take the time to go back and look at all of our businesses and how this will implicate every single one of them. I'm pretty close to having that done, and I can take it back to the Plan Commission, which I think may be helpful to come back with a clean recommendation, or I can just present findings to the board. However, but that piece, I think tonight I would like that to not be part of this discussion.
So would that be a motion?
Will you strike that?
You'd have to take that one out.
Motion to amend?
Who's first?
Trustee Pazmino made the motion, and Trustee Reinders made the second.
Better to table the whole thing and just bring it.
I would say, yeah, what about tabling it?
You want to table it to the next meeting? That way all the trustees
Yeah, and then we could review the.
Or is that going to hold you up for what you?
I can work at your pace. It's fine.
However, we can just strike it. Let's just strike it and then.
Yeah,
right.
motion to, yeah. Sure. Yeah.
All right, so you're taking 10 off?
Well,
Wait, what were you doing?
motion
We
and
have
the
to make,
second
yeah,
back.
we have to take the motion and then take it back and then put motion to table.
Okay, so I take back my motion,
And then read what it says on the.
and I'll motion to table.
Who seconded it, though? They have to.
I did.
Okay, so you need to take back your second.
I did. I said I take back my second.
The whole thing?
I think so.
Now we're making the motion to table
Yes,
by Ruben, right?
Yeah.
And then who seconded?
I second.
So number 9 or number 10 is tabled.
No, we got to take a vote on it, right? Take roll call.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Laha?
Aye.
Trustee Fielko?
Aye.
And Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carried.
We'll do more homework for you guys.
All right. Next, is there any old business?
Right, right.
Is there any new
Yes,
business?
wait, 1 second. With Clark Mosquito, Carmen, maybe you could give us the update on Clark Mosquito under old business. We have the village falls under that contract for mosquito treatment every year, and I believe we have something new on the website as far as Clark Mosquito responding to us and some numbers that they...
Yeah, so Clark Mosquito actually puts out an annual report for the village, so we understand the mitigation we did with the mosquitoes, and it kind of gives a good variety of information out there for what we did with mosquito spraying and all that. It also gives like the detail, what chemicals they use, how many times they sprayed, the whole 9 yards. We did put it underneath our mosquito section of our website that we introduced in the summer. So if anybody wants to get a little bit more information on that, you can find it on our website. It was just posted today, so.
Right, in addition to that, have they told you when they plan on starting treatment of the village?
Yeah, we won't see anything like that until probably March.
March? Right, okay, so that's early enough, but not too late.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
I also have something. Carmen, you know, as we spoke about this workshop relative to the potential of the question on the ballot relative to the part-time police officers, when do you foresee that workshop taking place, in February or in March?
I was actually looking at either the last meeting in February or the first meeting in March.
Okay.
Is what I had on my calendar.
All right, thank you.
Well, actually, I'm piggybacking onto that. I just want to make it very clear that this wasn't really a referendum, it was a public question. So what that means is, let's say it's on the ballot April 4th, well, actually not let's say, it's going to be, and it gets voted in, right? Or you see the majority of people saying yes. That doesn't mean automatically we're going to go and put a part-time or a full-time police force. There's a lot that's going to go into this. So we don't want to scare the heck out of all the residents. We want to just be, number one, advised, and we want to get the information out. Because just like there's a few people that say, well, what are you guys doing? Why you get a new police department? We're going to incur all these costs. We've gotten the opposite. We don't want to put a price on our children and our safety. Let's look at everything. Let's look at what the Will County Sheriff's doing. Let's look at what the possible part-time Homer Glen Police Department's doing. We're looking at everything. We're looking at numbers. And once again, it's what do they call it?
Non-binding.
Non-binding. Doesn't mean it's going to go through and we're going to pull the trigger and do it. No pun intended.
But you guys are...
I just want everybody to know that.
If I could speak.
And then, wait, I'm not done.
You got everybody confused, you got people trying to leave this village, because first of all, part-time doesn't even make sense. Just hear me out. If you're confused, the people don't know what they're voting for. I'm serious, I'm getting calls like you can't believe. You're scaring everybody with this thing on the ballot. First of all, I don't know why you want to do that.
We're going based off of we're going based off of the residents. Sir, just like you've gotten feedback, we've gotten feedback. We're in different times right now. We're not how the way this was 15, 20 years ago. There's a lot of safety issues, and people, we're also getting our phones rung up by residents that are concerned. What are you going to do about it? Are we going to wait till something happens to somebody? No. We are going to do our due diligence and get the information. Just like you said, everybody's confused. Great. That's why we're doing workshops. That's why we're putting the word out. That's why we're going to go ahead and put as much information and acquire as much information as we possibly can. This is nothing that's going to be fly by night. We're going and you know what? You may be right. And we'll look at the numbers. We'll see, okay, you know what? Yeah, let's stick with Will County.
The way I understand it also is there were 2 other studies done for full-time. And nothing, I don't, did you come to the podium then when it was, because this is for part-time. There were 2 other studies that were done under former boards.
Okay, wait, let me just say, you guys, I don't think this is the time to debate. I think that's the whole reason for the workshop.
I'm discussing,
I know, but
this is what I'm talking about. And just, he wanted to talk, we let him speak, and I'm answering him. So the thing is, it was done 2 other times for full-time. And this time, we're doing is putting it out to the public and letting them decide whether we want to investigate the possibility. I don't know if you watched the video from last meeting. The possibility of bringing on part-time. And it's non-binding, but the people, the residents, the constituents out there are making that decision. And as far as I remember, as far as a workshop or a study, I thought we said that we weren't going to put the cart before the horse and we were going to let the public make that decision and then we were going to have a study. It doesn't make sense to have a study if the people say no. No, why would we have a study again if the people say no? So anyway, Carmen, that's what I'm asking, Carmen. As far as that meeting in February, I thought we were going to wait till after that takes place.
I mean, that's what you wanted.
No, we all discussed it, and we thought that that would be the best option, is wait till the people make the decision. If they say no, there'd be no reason to have a workshop.
But then the discussion was that people don't know really, you're asking them to go and vote on something, like you said, could be a total waste of time. Give them a little bit of information to incentivize them to go to the polls, to go, well, or to make an educated decision. Do you want to do a study? We talked about this. What's the study going to cost? What does the studies in the past? What does this, it's about being open, and like he just said, you know, let people come, let's talk about it, and so they can go to the polls and make an educated vote.
I think it's put in language that's pretty simple as far as that goes. I mean, I believe Jennifer worked on that for a little bit of time to make it as clear and as simple as possible. And I still think having a workshop, I think the people are very smart out there and are able to read a partial of not even a full paragraph. It's a very short paragraph. Do you want us to investigate the possibility of having a part-time police department? How much simpler could it get?
Can you do a part-time police?
If the public decides
do we even know that?
Then we would have a workshop. I think that you're wasting staff's time and your time and everybody else's time if the public doesn't want it. Once the public decides, then you can have the workshop to explain what would happen. We're still not obligated at that point to do it, but then the workshop would come after the election. The people, let's say the people say yes, now we'd have the workshop. If the people say no, then we wouldn't have the workshop. But to put that burden on staff to put a meeting together and do all that paperwork before we know
I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help with staff. I'm happy to do whatever you need. I'm sure Mr. Petruzzo's happy to do it. The previous committee's happy to do it. Whatever I need to do, I'll do, because I feel like it's being a lot more transparent than just putting that very simple question on the ballot without having some kind of substance to it. I think that the police should be there. I think we need to talk to the Will County, I forget, like their public people who can come and say, this is what you're getting, this is what it costs, and then we can look at the other side of the coin and say, this is what we need, this is what it could cost. Do you guys want, could cost? Because these numbers are going to be...
They're going to change.
A lot. Like, I mean, you just saw your numbers change like 50%. So let's give it out there. I don't think that it's really burdensome on them. I think that's subjective to it. And I have no problem helping. Mr. Pachizzo will help. I'm sure the other committee people will help. We'll put something together, have it before a meeting, have it after a meeting. It's not a huge big deal, and I think it really shows that we're just really trying to be transparent and put everything out there. So I appreciate the answer.
I seriously don't think it's about transparency, because we've been talking about this on the board, but at the end of the day, it's not us that came up with this idea. It's the residents that came to us and said, with everything that is happening in this day and time, what do you think about our own police department for Homer Glen? So basically, all we are doing is just proposing a question and answering the residents' request. This is not our request, it's the residents that came to us. And I know you said that you have all these people that are calling you, just like they're calling you, Russ, they're calling us. They're sending us messages on the same subject, asking us, what are you going to do when the Safety Act? What are you going to do when the Safety Act is in full swing? What are you going to do? How are you going to protect us? Is Will County going to be enough? So we have to answer to the residents as well as to this board as well. But we are getting questioned from the residents.
Yeah, I've never gotten any. Nicole hasn't gotten any.
You know, I haven't, but I mean, I understand where we're coming on both sides of the coin here. You know, do we put the cart before the horse? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the money to have a workshop? I understand. I like providing information for our community members. The question is simple. I would agree. I think it's easy to understand what the question is. But there are some community members that maybe, you know, don't read it fully, or not watching the meetings, or are getting this secondhand information. So I think we could provide some sort of information that could set the facts straight.
I wonder, Beth, Trustee Rogers, you were here for any of the other 2 times for full-time police departments?
No.
No. Hey, George, were you here for either of those?
Yes, I said.
Did you guys put it to a referendum before you went to do the study, or did you just do the study and not do a referendum?
Russ, there was no referendum on it. We sat down with Will County Sheriff's Department, explained what we wanted to do. They told us that we could work it out. And I told you guys in the last meeting, if you try hiring it's going to be very expensive. You, like Russ had just got done saying, you got a building, you got the cars, you've got pensions, you have so much. We sat down with Sheriff Kelly. He went over everything. They have everything. They've got the jails. They've got everything you want. If they got the forensics, they have everything. It cost us a little over $4 million. And like Russ had said before, with Mokina, they're over 10,000. I don't know how much they are now, because every year it changes a little bit. I went to Evergreen. Evergreen was 13,000. They had, at that time, I think it was 18,900 people. I don't remember for sure. But to do this, you have to inform these people, not just by a piece of paper or something. And as for people complaining, I haven't really had anyone complain to me, because all I hear them do is praise the police for everything that they've, sheriff, for everything they've done. We're looking in areas that we don't need to look into. If we spend that kind of money to do, especially a part-time one, what are we going to get, Barney Fife? So we have to make sure that we've got Will County right now. That's the best. Everything anything that's happened in this place, they took care of immediately.
I don't think that we're talking, I think we talked at the last meeting, we're not talking about getting rid of Will County, we're talking about supplementing Will County. And the question I had for you, sir, was, I understand the cost associated with it. I asked you, did you put a referendum forward before you moved forward with your 2 studies that cost a certain amount of money? You could tell us that if you want that cost. But what we're doing is giving it to the public, where it sounds like you move forward with your studies without putting it to a referendum. We're at least giving the public the opportunity to make a decision on their own, and then we would possibly move forward. Where you took and did 2 studies that cost a bunch of money, and you didn't even put it to a referendum, right?
We didn't pay for
All right. First of all, let's just stop for a second. The thing, what we're talking about here is, you know, yes, we need to inform we need to bring our residents into the mix with this. So however we do it, with a workshop or with a question, I think we just need to make sure that it's their decision, not
that was
ours.
our intention from the
Exactly.
beginning.
So I agree.
We're not arguing that point at all.
Right. Let's move on.
What we need to clear up on this board, though, is do we want to have a meeting before the referendum, or do we want to wait, see what the public says, and then have the meeting after the referendum?
I would definitely do it before. Because if you do it afterwards, you're just going to be, or if you do it now, you're going to have a lot of people upset, and it's going to cost a lot of money to put it through for a referendum. As for...
There's no cost for referendum.
Cost associated with it.
Well,
And it's a
Why don't
public
we
question.
hold a workshop for the people that want to attend, and if they don't, the question's on there, they can answer it. I mean,
Well, again, it comes back to staff having to do a lot of work and prepare for that.
Sure.
Okay, why would we do that to staff? We know our staff is,
Don't know for sure.
they work hard and they
Yeah.
don't need extra
Yeah.
work if it's not necessary.
I don't
And
think
again,
it's-
this is a non-binding
right. No,
question.
I understand. No, I understand. I'm just trying to provide two trains of thoughts for people who think differently. That's all.
Yeah, and I think you're exaggerating the amount of work and this and that. We've had workshops on other things that we all didn't agree needed to have workshops. We have a whole nother meeting to go over minutes. What do you think that's going to cost people in their time, and they have to stay later and all this other stuff? So it's subjective as to whether or not you feel like, oh, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. It's just being open. If people don't want to come, don't come. It's not going to, you act like it's going to be this big, huge 3-ring binder display. I guarantee you the police department's going to probably do 99% of it, because they probably have a lot of different displays and stuff that they can show people, and they probably have most of the information anyway. And like I said, I'm happy to facilitate it.
and I'll call Sheriff Kelly tomorrow. And if you want, we'll get a meeting with him. He can tell you exactly what they can do.
You can come to the workshop.
Yeah, he can do that too.
That's all.
Are we gonna?
Well, we look into it.
All right.
Well, right now, he's got a meeting, you have a meeting scheduled, when did you say?
February 3rd.
Okay, February 3rd is...
With who?
With Kelly.
Okay.
That's an important week. That's
And
my
that will be
birthday,
for the
so.
public to come out and
No, we're going to sit down and talk to because...
Okay, so can I interrupt for just a minute? I apologize, but I think we're missing the message we're trying to send. We're looking at a feasibility study so we can get some educational information to give to the board, to present to you guys, to understand if it's even possible to do this in our village. Listen, I've been a resident for 42 years. I grew up in Homer Glen. I grew up in Homer Township. We had volunteer police and fire for many, many, many years, and we grew out of that. We did. But I can't be naive enough to tell you it's good if I don't know the numbers in front of me. And you guys would need to make those decisions, and that's all we're asking for. So we're asking the public if they would want to come in for us to do a feasibility study for part-time officers for a police department for this village, and if the residents say no, we don't do it. If the residents say yes, let's do it. That's all, just so us as staff can be educated enough to come to you guys as a board and say, this is what the findings were, this is what we think can and can't work, what do you guys want to do? Because the other question that's going to come up is, with the police department, do you want to raise taxes? Do we not want to raise taxes? There's a lot of caveats to this whole thing, but to be educated to know what those are, I can't tell you right now, I'll be honest with you. And the study that they did back in the day, numbers have changed so much, we just want to go into the right direction. And that's all I'm trying to do for the village and for this board, so we can move forward.
So are we saying meeting before or after? What are we doing, guys?
We will take the recommendation from the board, however you guys see fit, so we can do whatever we can for you. We're here to help. That's what staff's here for.
the feasibility study possibly comes after the referendum would be approved, correct? Okay, so we won't have numbers to give at any meeting because we didn't have a feasibility study. And so if there was a meeting on the 3rd and it's with Mr. Kelly, Sheriff Kelly, what would we be trying to accomplish at that meeting, I guess?
I'm having a meeting with Mike Kelly because our contract that we have with Will County, it's not a public meeting, it's actually a private meeting with Sheriff Kelly.
Okay, but the meeting you're talking about to inform.
He wants to do a workshop.
They want to do a workshop, but that's not February 3rd?
No.
When is the workshop scheduled that you?
We haven't scheduled any workshop because it seems like half of you want it and the other half don't. So as staff, for us, we just need to know the direction we want to go.
I don't mind the workshop before, but what are we going to present to the public if we don't have the numbers? That's my whole point.
Yeah, I think this discussion is a perfect reason why we have to have a workshop, because there's people who are misinformed about multiple things.
But we are going to have the workshop.
Right, so that could even be part of it. You know, the workshops doesn't have to include numbers, because we don't know at all what those numbers are going to be. I think the workshop is going to be to explain in a much calmer, more professional manner of what we're asking on the bail.
That's fair. Informational only. So, but that's got to be, you know, we don't want a situation where, you know, let's say you wanted to invite the sheriff's office, they're going to have all their numbers, but then you have nothing to compare them to.
They can never have numbers, right?
Okay. No, I'm just making sure that it's got to be presented equally.
I mean, for the residents to be able to ask questions.
Of course. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, so it's Friday, our February 3rd?
No, that's his meeting.
No, that's his meeting with, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. March, first meeting. Because that's what it went to.
Yeah, no, his is, you all's with my class February 3rd.
Yes. So, okay.
When do we want to do a workshop? That's the question.
We'll
Either or, first
Let's
week of
find
March.
out, he'll be done in a day.
It doesn't matter either or. Before or after a regular village board meeting, so that we're not pulling staff in again tonight.
All right. Yeah, is there any new business?
I don't know. Are we settled on this? It doesn't sound like we're, I know, but are we coming up with a day? If everybody on this board wants that to happen, what Trustee Rogers is saying, shouldn't we come up with a date today to do it? We had two different options. We didn't.
March 22nd, or February 22nd or March 8th.
What does everybody want to do?
March 8th is better. Right? Yeah.
8th?
March 8th,
At what time?
before the regular board meeting.
Do we all need to be present for
An
that?
hour early?
It's just a workshop? Okay.
Will you not-
I will be out of town. I'll be out of town for every week in March.
Should we confirm with Trustee Consolino, since she is the chairman of the,
Regular board meeting, right?
it's the regular board meeting date, yes, at 7 PM, but if you guys are doing it at 6.
Hey, the same, right?
Well, we could do the workshop at 7. I mean, we don't have to come early, it's like.
Okay, it's up to you guys, I just want to know the time.
Like it has been in the past. Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
So we're
works-
good for March 8th's meeting, 7 o'clock.
And, just a workshop added, got it.
All right, I already asked, but is there any new business? I need a motion to adjourn.
Do we have anything for executive session at all? No? Okay.
So move.
I will second that.
All right, so we already have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I gave the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?